Yo! So, welcome to my last build of the league, which is a Ignite Bear Trap Chieftain. Something about this character is just so insanely satisfying, and I'm super happy I invested all my currency into it. I think I've spent close to 100 exalts on trying to min-max this build, and it's been really fun to see it actually working. So why even go Ignite Bear Trap? Mainly because it sounds hilarious. But Bear Trap does have a surprisingly high base damage, but a very limited amount of times you can cast the trap. So it does kinda make sense to go Ignite compared to everything else. Since the build is Ignite based, you pretty much have to use southbound gloves to make sure the hit of the trap never kills mobs. Because if the hit kills the mob, there is no chance to apply Ignites and spread it. Speaking of spreading Ignites, you can also get some absolutely broken Ignite spread with Berek's respite, and I'm not even exaggerating. A single bear trap can clear entire legions, and with a really choosed map with a lot of pack size and double beyond, you can literally clear multiple sprints away with a single trap throw. For example, this was a double beyond beach, and you can see the Ignite spread is just out of this world at times. On a side note, something I noticed is that you cannot use Ignite prolif with the Berek's respite. Something about having both of the mechanics breaks the Ignite spread. There's a thread about some guy saying proliferation does not proc Berek's respite spread, which seems like the reason. The build also cannot do Harbinger backs. It seems like Harbinger spawned mobs don't count as killing mobs, so there is absolutely no Ignite spread happening, which does really suck. So that's how the clear looks like, but how's the single target? Single target is pretty solid, I would say. Around 4 million DPS with just basic buffs and debuffs, and that can go up to like 9 million with the perfect lineup. As for the defenses, there is no defenses. Just some life, regen and endurance charges. So the build is really squishy and you have to dodge a lot of stuff manually. But even with no real defenses, I could do all the content in the game. The only encounters that I had problems with was 100% Delirious and the Feared Invitation. But even that was very doable. You can see that it does clear 100% Delirious quite well. But you do have to keep moving and don't try to face tank stuff. This map was without Beyond simply because I could not record the Beyond without the game crashing or dying to game freezes, but it's definitely doable if you got a supercomputer. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about the build. Now I'm gonna go in game to explain the build in a bit more detail. Also, if you like this kind of off-meta content, consider subscribing, it does help a lot. I also recently added a membership option if you'd like to support the channel. Okay, so this build's a chieftain. Chieftain is like the best all-around Ignite ascendancy. It has some really nice damage nodes, and also some really good sustain and endurance charge generation. It also has this node which works really nice for Bear Trap. It's a conversion and 100% added fire, which is a huge burst if you can get it off. The passive tree is something like this. Really generic Ignite tree. Nothing special at all. The keystones I'm using is Elemental Overload, Avatar of Fire, and also Call to Arms. I'm also running 2 cluster jewel setups that are very similar. The large cluster jewel is with Burning Bright and Dexterity, and the mediums are all with Burning Bright, Blowback, and Wasting Affliction. I also have a lot of Cooked Alive so I can fill out my Ignite chance. And all of the other jewel slots are filled with jewels like this, with life, fire damage, burning damage, or fire dot multi. Okay, now for the gear. I'll talk about the uniques first, which is southbound, so our hits cannot kill mobs, which is really important to spread the ignites. Berek's respite for the insane ignite prolifs, and also a crazy good corrupted ashrend like this. There was only one corrupted ashrend like this per sale, and I had to 6-link it myself. Now for the rare gear. So every rare piece I have is pretty much meant to give me damage. So I'm dual wielding really good scepters, like this. Both of them have a trigger socketed spell mod, so I can automate flammability, wave of conviction for exposure, and door of storms with crit chance support to have really good uptime on elemental overload. Even my helmet and boots have a damage increase, with nearby enemies have minus fire resist and ignites are faster. As for the ring and the amulet, this one I self-crafted with Essence of Hysteria for added fire damage. And an amulet like this is insane for a +2 level of socketed gems, and also fills out all of my dex requirements. Also, the traps get destroyed really fast, so anointing clever construction is really important. The only defensive item I have is this leather belt with a bunch of life and life recovery rate. For the flasks, I just have one panic life flask like this, Cinder Swallow for extra damage and sustain, a phasing with remove bleed, a granite, and enduring mana flask with the remove curses. For the auras I have Benevolence and Skitterbots linked with level 4 at light. I also have Enduring Cry on my left click with increased duration and second wind. And since we're generating charges all the time, cast wall damage take and Immortal Call is really sick to mitigate the Lava Burst. The main gems for my Bear Trap is level 21 Bear Trap, Deadly Ailments, Swift Affliction, Unbound Ailments, Burning Damage, and Trap and Mine damage. I swap Trap and Mine damage out for a second wind while mapping. So yeah, that's the build. Enjoy the boss fights, and I'll see you soon.
My heart races. I am
Cannot do this yet. My mana is gone.
Awaited event is finally here.
gaze. Embraced by this.
I cannot do this yet.
Bow to your queen.